all the classic gaming genres that pushed this medium forward over the last few decades, I feel like beat-em-ups have become the most neglected. From platformers to sports, fighting games, and adventure titles, it's clear that most genres have carved out their path in gaming as a whole. One could argue that the beat-em-up genre has evolved out of itself, becoming more about visuals, QTEs, and elements beyond the original idea. Though I don't fully disagree with these claims, I do believe that the apple can only fall so far from the tree before we go, where the f did that come from? So today, I want to talk about a beat-em-up that is being released in 2025. Yes, this year. A game that plays like the best parts of this arcadey genre while blowing the formula wide open without becoming unrecognizable. Towerborn is a brand new beat-em-up developed by Stoic Games, and they asked me, yes, me, if I wanted to make a video on it. And after seeing some of the combo potential that this game has, do you know what I said? I said okay. So thank you Towerborn for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about how a beat-em-up looks in 2025. It's such a foreign concept. As a conventional beat-em-up title, the game stars your ace, an adventurer that for some reason or another can be pulled back from death. You'll create your character and decide between making them look like a shonen protagonist or a horrifying monster from the Valley of Bad Vibes. Then you'll select one of 4 available classes. The Sentinel is a sword and shield style which relies on parries. The Rockbreaker is a hand-to-hand class that can charge and hold a super punch like Donkey Kong Smash Brothers. And my favorite class is the Shadow Striker, who is hypermobile, has a double jump, insane combo potential, and the ability to throw and shumpo to their dagger. Also, there's the Pyroclast, which is a big stick wielding character that looks fun. I've never played this class, but my friend did, so you'll see him popping off in the background. Now let's talk about the beat-em-up aspect itself, because it still has the arcadey vibe of Turtles in Time with a much deeper level of tech. Though each class comes with their own unique sets of properties, combos, launchers, and playstyles, they do share a few similarities. Starting with the basics, a jump button you'll use to chase combo opportunities, get over terrain, or dodge shockwaves and low projectiles, a dodge button which you'll use to reposition, escape wide attacks, and occasionally chase combos, a light attack button which is fast, and a heavy attack button which is actually still fast. Yeah, it may be heavy, but it is moving like a bullet train. Pressing the light and heavy attack buttons in any combination will create a unique combo. Some can be knockdowns, launchers, or just great carries to set your team up to eliminate the stupid dork who stood in your way. Alongside the basics, there's also a weapon-specific button that changes its use depending on your class, and a pet button which allows you to use a summon that you find on your journey. Now we can talk about progression. As you advance your journey through constant fighting, dodging, and comboing, you'll be able to level up your character and evolve your playstyle, beginning with your light focus skill and your heavy focus skill. If you've played a fighting game, these basically function as your level 1 and level 2 super moves. These can serve as heavy damage, combo extenders, wave clear, or whatever else, and every single class has up to 3 that they can unlock through progression, alongside other passives, attacks, weapon enhancements, or entire combos. The Belfry serves as the game's main HUD and gives vibes reminiscent of an old-school MMO. With other players running around and goofing off, NPCs that all serve a purpose or have side quests, alongside a blacksmith you can use to improve your build. The main event of this entire HUD is the world map, where you'll embark on your quest to either complete the main story, finish off some side quests, or just level up and acquire new gear. And instead of the gear in this game only being basic stat changes, there are sets that you could find which offer passives that add another layer to your playstyle. You'll explore a big-ass map, traversing through different areas and fighting new enemy types as you go. You know, standard beat-em-up stuff. There's missions that range from funny little bonus quests, story beats, places to find new pets, and even areas with weird effects. Like this zone here allows me to spam my pet's ability with no cooldown. Knowing that this would be a thing, I equipped my summon that normally has the longest cooldown, which makes a massive meteor strike the floor and deal a ton of damage while hurting everything on the screen. Then I just spammed it and turned this place into a valley of ash and bone. Now that we have a very general rundown of the basic gameplay, I could start explaining more complicated mechanics to explain how much your playstyle can evolve and how deep the beat 'em up actually goes. And in order to do so, I'm gonna have to be class specific. So I'm gonna use two classes which I believe are polar opposites of one another. The big dumb heavy class and the dainty little fast class. Let's start with the Rock Breaker. The main aspect of this weapon class is a giant charge punch, where you can charge up a punch and keep it held to be used whenever you see fit. Not only does this charge very fast, but it could also be your main source of damage if you play correctly, making this playstyle revolve heavily around landing these as much as you can. If you charge this ability to max level and use it the second the bar is fully charged, it does even more damage and stuns opponents. But this is kind of hard to land since you're constantly chasing opponents or trying to dodge. For air combos, the Rock Breaker class is very limited, so chasing enemies into the air is suboptimal for damage. Instead of grabbing your passport and flying up there with them, you can actually use a launch combo and then charge your punch to full and use it right before the enemy hits the ground, in order to get that bonus damage and a stun, which is some cool tech and a very specific combo route that only exists for this class. Not only that, but you can also chase your enemies down to where they're supposed to land, and if you play your cards right, land another fully charged punch or end it with a knockdown. And as you level up this character, new combo avenues open, allowing you to change your playstyle. There's an infinite combo this character can learn, which lasts as long as you mash the button. So if you tee someone up and start this combo, you could deal a lot of damage before the enemy finally touches the floor. As you continue to level, you can get a ton of crit chance on your super punch to add insane burst, and also spec your gear to give you crit chance in order to make you hit heavy and often, making an entire playstyle of huge moments as long as you can weave your charges correctly. And as I'm sure you can imagine, there is endless combo possibilities as you mix and match. Now let's talk about the polar opposite class, the Shadow Striker. As opposed to the Rock Breaker, the Shadow Striker spends a lot of time in the air. This class doesn't necessarily have one massive moment or move to build to, and instead the playstyle is more death by 1,000 cuts. Normal combo strings have multi-hits, and air combos on this character get increasingly complex. The weapon skill is to throw your dagger and teleport to where it hits, which for most of the time I spent playing this class, I almost felt was kind of underwhelming, especially when you compare it to something as cool as the Powder Keg Punch. But as I played this class more and started to understand the combos and the playstyle, my brain folded little by little until I fully understood how it worked. The Shadow Striker class is all about creatively chaining moves together in order to build meter and apply damage over time. Via wearing armor sets that apply poison per time hit, when you evolve your character, you can also spec into passives that allow you to proc more poison on your blows, and in turn, as you beat people up, they start taking more damage over time. Once I realized how much combos mattered on this character, I actually started labbing to see what kind of moves I could come up with. This class can get an extra charge of the Dagger Shumpo attack, which you can use in the air to refresh your combo. They also have a downward spike mid-air that not only carries down opponents, but can also serve as a mini launcher to enemies on the floor, and when enemies are hard knocked down or spiked twice, you can use a specific basic level 1 super to dash them off the floor, scoop them back up, and continue your combo. These little micro techniques in theory building is what keeps this game fun and interesting while giving you cool ways to interact with other players, teeing people up in order to let them get a mega punch charge, or just carrying opponents from each other's moves. And if you ever get bored of your current build, you don't even have to respec. You can untoggle the abilities you don't want and just put those points somewhere else. As far as beat 'em ups go, I think Towerborn is a very solid addition to your library if you're looking for an arcadey co-op experience. There's a lot to do, and leveling your characters in order to learn new moves and combo strings is satisfying every time. Even though I've only labbed 2 out of the 4 classes, I'm excited to go back and learn the Sentinel, who relies on parries, because to me personally, parries are pretty fun. And changing classes isn't even a huge deal because you could just select your class as easy as changing your loadout. So if you're a fan of old school beat 'em ups and were wondering what a beat 'em up would look like in the year 2025, Towerborn is definitely your guy. But don't take my word for it, check it out from the link in my description. Thank you so much Towerborn for sponsoring the video, you guys are awesome. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.